Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Off the Bench podcast. My name is Robert Settlers, and I am over the moon delighted to tell each and every one of you that your 2025-2026 national champions are the Indiana Hoosiers. Wow, who would have ever thought? The greatest story in the history of this fantastic, outstanding sport has finally been completed. The Indiana Hoosiers have transformed themselves from the worst program in college football to your national champions. I mean, my goodness. I remember I sat on this very couch way back in October, way before Halloween, way before we even knew that Lane Kiffin wasn't going to be the head coach of Ole Miss. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm tired of doubting this man. I'm tired of doubting this team. I am picking Curt Cignetti to take the Indiana Hoosiers to a Big Ten title, for Fernando Mendoza to win the Heisman Trophy, and for Indiana to win the national championship. And when I said that in October, I don't even know if I fully believed myself. I think maybe the only person that really had true faith in this team from the get-go was Mr. Cignetti himself. But it happened. It actually happened. The Indiana Hoosiers have won the national championship, which is just so incredible and so amazing. And listen, if you're a Purdue fan, or if you're an Ohio State fan, or if for whatever reason you have some sort of disdain for the University of Indiana, or Indiana University rather, I know that this is not the greatest thing ever for you. I get it. You don't love it. Maybe you're a big time SEC fan. You just want to see the Southeastern Conference succeed. And I get that. Okay, I really do. But I just want everybody to appreciate not only in the Indiana community, not only in the Big Ten, not only in the college football world, but all throughout the world of sports, that this team, this Indiana team, is one of the greatest stories, not just in the history of college football, but in the history of sports. It's unreal. Well, what they've accomplished is truly, truly unbelievable. And I really don't, I try not to use that word a lot on this podcast because I feel like most things in sports that happen are typically pretty believable. But this run that Curt Cignetti has gone on, he's been 27-2 in his 2 seasons as head coach of the Indiana Hoosiers. He's won a Big Ten title, something that, coaches like James Franklin only did once in their entire career at Penn State, something that took Jim Harbaugh so long to accomplish at the University of Michigan. And just like that, Curt Cignetti did it in his second year at Indiana, which is not a storied program like the other ones I just mentioned. And of course, to top it all off, a national championship in 2025 and 2026, which it makes the first time that a team has won the national championship for the first time since 1996, which is just insane, absolute insanity. And if you want to ask yourself, Robert, why did Indiana win this game? How did they win this game? What did they do to find a way to beat the Miami Hurricanes, to seize that national championship? Well, the first thing that I will say is Indiana made big plays in the big moments, just like they've done all year, just like they did against Penn State in Happy Valley. When Fernando Mendoza was pressured, dropped back, threw a pass up to Omar Cooper, caught it, hovered his foot in bounds, and tapped it in for the win. Just like that. Just like when they went on the road against Oregon and Elijah Surratt came through time after time after time in the big moments, especially on fourth down. Just like, I guess against Alabama and Oregon, they kind of made every single play when it mattered the most because they blew out those teams. But in this game in specific, the Hoosiers were 2 for 2 on fourth down, and their final touchdown drive of their season to put themselves up by 10 points, which pretty much ultimately sealed the deal in this football game. And those two plays, of course, the most iconic play in Indiana Hoosier football history, fourth down and 5 in Miami's red zone. You have the chance to take a field goal, get a 6-point lead. I mean, that's the easiest thing in the world, especially against a struggling offense. But instead, Curt Cignetti just holds himself. He says, you know what? I'm going for this. I'm putting all my money on the line. I'm pushing all my chips to the middle. I'm going for it on fourth and 5. I'm going for the touchdown. And he doesn't call a pass play. He doesn't call a standard run play. He calls a quarterback draw. He puts the ball in the hands of his Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, who takes it, sidestep jukes 5 yards across the field, breaks 2 tackles from these big Miami offensive or linebackers, and then dolphin dives his way into the end zone for a touchdown. I mean, could you picture a more iconic ending for this season than Fernando Mendoza putting the team on his back once again to seal the deal? And that was just one fourth down they converted on that drive. Earlier in the drive, they also had a 4th down and 5, and Fernando Mendoza drops back, sees man coverage, and trusts his boy Charlie Becker down the field to convert and move the chains. Ladies and gentlemen, Charlie Becker is everything that I love about college football. That guy is such a stud. He entered into this year as a backup. He was like their number 5 or number 6 wide receiver. Didn't think he was getting much playing time at all. In the first 7 games of the season, he had 4 catches. And then Elijah Surratt goes down with an injury. He comes in against Penn State, puts up a crazy performance, helps them win that game. And the rest of the way, he was absolutely balling out. He's a 3-star recruit, really under talked about. Nobody even knew who he was before this season. And yet he comes in on a whim and turns into the best 50-50 jump ball wide receiver in the sport. And I'm not over exaggerating. There is not a single player in the sport right now. I'm not talking about NFL, in college football, that I would trust in a one-on-one scenario on a jump ball deep down the field than Mr. Charlie Becker, number 80 on the Indiana Hoosiers football team. That guy's insane. I mean, the amount of control that his hands have to make those 2 big-time catches down the sideline in the 4th quarter of the national championship game. Are you kidding me? Like, this guy's out of his mind. I mean, Charlie freaking Becker, man, he's so awesome. I love that guy so much. And that really speaks to what these teams embody, not just Indiana, but also Miami. You know, I cannot tell you how many times I've heard people say in the college football world, whether it's fans, whether it's even coaches, sometimes people that do what I do, they go on podcasts and talk about this great sport, or really anybody that they say, well, you know where the sport's trending. It's all about the dollar now. You know, just highest bidder is always going to win. You know, the team that recruits all the 5-star kids, you know, those are the teams that are going to win. Transfer portals ruin this sport. NILs ruin this sport. It's all about money now. It's all about getting the kids that have that are the best talent. That's all that ever matters in the sport. Let me just read you the star players in this football game, not just on the Indiana roster, but also on the Miami roster, to completely prove that point to be wrong. Charlie Becker, we just talked about him. One of the best players in college football right now, 3-star recruit out of high school. He's a true sophomore, and he's out here balling. Fernando Mendoza was a 3-star recruit out of high school. No one even knew who he was coming out of high school, out of the city of Miami. Miami didn't even recruit him. Both of Indiana's running backs, Roman Hemby and Kalen Black, they're both 3-stars, both really under-recruited guys. Mikael Kamara, Indiana's best defensive lineman in the playoffs, who was shedding blocks constantly through their 3-game stretch, was a no-star recruit, was barely even recruited out of high school. Elijah Surratt, their best receiver, no-star recruit. Riley Nowakowski, their awesome fullback / tight end who puts his nose in every single play and makes an impact. No-star recruit. D'Angelo Pons, their best corner who made every single play that he possibly could this game. Number 5 on the outside, 5'9", 175 pounds, 3-star recruit. Who else? Malachi Toney, Miami's best player, is a true freshman 3-star recruit. Even Akeem Mesidor, who had 2 sacks in this game, 3-star recruit. Ahmad Moten, one of their best big defensive linemen, is a 3-star recruit. Mo Torre, their best linebacker, is a 3-star recruit. OJ Federique is a 3-star recruit who came off the bench because what's his name was out, Xavier Lucas, and was balling out in this football game. So, no, it is not just money that buys wins in the sport. It is not just getting the best players out of the transfer portal. It's not just spending the big checks and getting the big oil money and doing that, whatever you want to do. That's not how it's done. So you might ask yourself, okay, Robert, then how is winning done in college football? Just look at Indiana and look at Miami. It's done through player evaluation in the recruiting process or in the transfer portal and developing players throughout the season. And that's not just done on a whim. You have to work really, really hard, both as a coach and as a player, to, as a player, get better and focus on where your weaknesses are and improve in your game so you can be the best version of yourself. And as a coach, as a leader, to be selfless, to see where your guys are struggling and to help them break through that barrier. That's what being good at football is all about. It's not about the number of stars next to your name. It's not about the money that you're getting paid to play on that football team. It's about working hard and being the best version of yourself, no matter what anyone thinks of you. And that is exactly what this Indiana team is embodying, and exactly what a lot of these guys on Miami are embodying. And that's what I love about this great sport. I mean, there are so many people that every time anything happens in college football, they instantly complain about something. And they're going to do that about this game too, because it's just inevitable. But I just think that there's so much to love about the story of the Indiana Hoosiers, not just because they're underdogs, not just because they've never done it before, but they're doing it in a way that is completely contradictory towards where everyone else thinks the sport of college football is going. The reason that Indiana is so great is because they're able to evaluate players, develop players, and coach the hell out of every single team that they play. And I think that it is pure, amazing, great football. And there could not be a single thing more refreshing for the sport of college football than what we are currently seeing right now with the Indiana Hoosiers. And leading to that, I have a little painful discussion that I have to talk about with college football. First of all, let me say I've been a fan of college football since I can remember. And everyone that knows me as a kid will know that. Robert Sells, he's the one that loves college football. He's the one that will recite a new stat to you. He loves watching it on every single Saturday, even though he's only 4 or 5 years old. That's what he does. And that's what I always have done. I love this sport. I love watching football. I love interacting with fans. I love all the environments of college football. And every one of them is so unique and so special and so beautiful. And I think that there are not really anything, or that there's not very many things that provide a beautiful lens into the country of the United States of America like college football does. And I love this sport. I really, really do. But that being said, I hate the discourse about college football that is going around right now. Like, no one wants to talk about the football. No one wants to be positive. No one wants to acknowledge that we just watched the best national championship game since 2017. That this season was amazing. There were so many great on the field stuff that happened in this season. So many great player storylines. I mean, there was so much greatness to it. And yet all anyone ever wants to talk about is what's wrong with the sport and how some people are idiots and others are super smart. Which conference is the best? What we should do in terms of the playoff model, how bad the transfer portal is, how bad NIL deal is. We should change the red shirt year. It's ridiculous that these people are getting eligibility. Why can't we just talk about football? Why can't we just talk about the great sport that we love? Why do we have to be so caught up in all the off the field stuff, all the drama, all the politics of it? Why can't we strip all that away and please just talk about football? That's what I want. That's what most college football fans want. And yet the discourse of the game has completely skewed away from that. And I really think that that's something that we need to get back to. We need to get back to just talking about the football and talking about the fan experience. That's the most important part of this game. That's why footballs are invented. These things, the thing that I'm holding up, if you're just listening to this, I'm sorry. I'm holding a football. This was not invented to talk about what is wrong with the world. This was invented to play football. So please, let's just play football and talk about football. I'm so tired of all the politics behind college football. But that being said, now I'm about to talk about some football. Just a couple more ways that Indiana won this game. A couple of amazing things I saw from the Hoosiers in this football game that they were able to catapult off of and win. First of all, Indiana's Tampa 2 and cover 3 zone coverages in this football game were fantastic. I remember I was watching the Oregon game, and it happened like 2 or 3 times where Indiana just left a complete third of the field wide open, and Oregon didn't take advantage of it because Dante Moore was really struggling in that game. But I looked at that and I said, wow, Indiana's really vulnerable on defense because sometimes in their zone coverages, they really bust. Like, they really do. But in this game against Miami, they didn't do that one single time. So you know what that tells me? It tells me that the Indiana coaching staff watched that tape meticulously against Oregon. And if you don't believe me, watch the first play of the game when D'Angelo Pons got a pick six. I think it was McClellan that ran a corner route on that play, was wide open for a touchdown. And yet Dante Moore decided to throw the check down for a pick six. But my point is Indiana was very vulnerable in that game in their coverages. And their coaching staff sat down, watched the film, found their weakness, adjusted, and then performed beautifully in the national championship game against Miami. I thought that was amazing what they did. D'Angelo Pons played out of his mind in this game. So did their safety, Lewis. He was all over the field. 22 had the big-time interception at the end of the game. That dude is phenomenal. Mikael Kamara was awesome in this game as well. And also the linebackers. We've been talking about Indiana's linebackers all year long for being maybe the best linebacker unit in the country. That is so true. Elijah Hardy, Aiden Fisher, and Isaiah Jones play out of their mind every single play. Not just every single game, not just every single third down, not just every single big moment, every single play. And these are guys, again, Elijah Hardy, no star recruit. Aiden Fisher, no star recruit. Isaiah Jones was just a 3-star recruit. So these aren't guys that are the most athletic in the world. They're not the guys that are going to go be first-round draft picks in the NFL. They're not merchants that Indiana bought for $4 million to come on their roster and win. They're guys that have been evaluated since high school by Curt Cignetti and this staff and developed to be the best versions of themselves on the field, which is why I love this Indiana team so much, because they coach the right way. They really, really do. Also, Indiana has made Fernando Mendoza comfortable every single game in the playoffs. Guys, he hasn't thrown for 200 yards in a playoff game. I feel like people don't realize that. Everyone's talking about how great Fernando Mendoza is. He hasn't thrown for 200 yards in a playoff game. He threw for like 177 against Bama, 186 against Oregon, and then like 180 something against Miami. So how are you able to pull that off? Because listen, Fernando Mendoza has been amazing this playoffs. Don't get me wrong. He has made big time throw after big time throw after big time throw. But he doesn't have to make a big time play every single play of the football game. To me, that is the job of the offensive coordinator, to say, we're going to put our quarterback in a couple circumstances 3 or 4 times a game where he has the opportunity to make an amazing play and win the football game. The rest of the time, we're going to have elite, outstanding offensive line play. We're going to have an amazing run game, and we're going to have a system of play calls to where he can fit in and be comfortable and be consistent. That's exactly what Indiana has done this entire playoff run. Their RPO system is it's so meticulously amazing. They're like innovating our RPO play call. It's crazy. Like, go and watch their RPOs. It's futuristic almost, and it makes it so much easier for Fernando Mendoza to move the ball down the field. And you just go look at some of Fernando Mendoza's throws he's made, but he doesn't have to make these big time throws consistently. Like, he made a big time throw to Charlie Becker in the Rose Bowl, a big time throw to Surratt in the Rose Bowl, and then against Oregon, he made a big time throw to Surratt and Charlie Becker again, and same in this game. But it's not like he's made 10 or 11 or 12 amazing plays per game. He just makes big plays in the big moments because he doesn't have to be a dominant and elite quarterback force throughout the game. Again, it's really that simple. So big shout out also to Indiana's offensive coordinator, Mike Shanahan, not related to Kyle Shanahan, the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, but Mike Shanahan. He's a guy that has been with Curt Cignetti since his days at James Madison. And they have come up together from James Madison to Indiana as a coaching staff. They obviously share very similar morals, very similar coaching ideas, and they have constructed a perfect roster and a perfect game plan to go out and win a national championship in college football. Hats off to them for sure. All the respect in the world should go to Mike Shanahan and Curt Cignetti and the defensive coordinator, who I'm blanking on his name, but he's amazing too. So congrats, just all the congrats in the world to Indiana. I'm so proud of this team. This is not stopping anytime soon. This is going to be a juggernaut for a really long time because they can evaluate, scout, and develop the hell out of their players. That's why they're going to be great. That's why they're great right now. That's what Nick Saban did too, just at a higher level because he was coaching at Alabama, not Indiana, but the same principles. Like, if you ever hear someone accuse Nick Saban of cheating, what he always says is, yeah, we cheated. The way we cheated was we developed players. Well, that's the way Indiana's cheating. They're getting in their players, they're developing them, and they're getting them to be the best versions of themselves on and off the field. It's literally that simple. And I literally, I don't know what else there is to tell you. Also, just super congrats to Miami also for having an amazing season. What a great story their season was. They started off hot with a big time win over Notre Dame, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, they're the best team in the country. They go out, they struggle, they lose to SMU, they lose to Louisville. Everyone doubted them. Nobody thought that they were going to be great. No one thought they were going to be in the playoffs, and yet they find a way to sneak in, and then they just go on a crazy run, winning on the road at Texas A&M. Then they beat Ohio State, then they beat Ole Miss, and they came within 6 points of beating the Indiana Hoosiers, a team that annihilated everybody else. So big time shout out to Miami and that coaching staff and that team for playing their best football at the best possible time. I mean, they really improved throughout the season so much. So I'm really proud of Miami. Y'all had a great year. There's no reason to hang your head if you're a Miami fan. You're going to get Malachi Tony back next year. You're probably going to get Darian Bensall out of the portal. I love that dude. I think he's awesome. So it's going to be okay. I promise, Miami fans. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I am on the last page of my notebook. I have used every single page on this notebook this year, taking college football notes, looking at rosters, just checking things out, setting up this podcast. And this is the very last episode of the 2026 or 2025-2026 college football season. And I just wanted to say what an amazing year it was for the sport of college football. I enjoyed it so much. I mean, we had so many amazing games this year. I mean, if you think back to the Georgia-Tennessee game early in the year, went into overtime. Georgia had a crazy comeback in that one. Field goal went off the upright. Georgia somehow won that one. And that same night, Notre Dame hosted Texas A&M. Those teams went back and forth. Unreal game that the Aggies were able to win on the road. And then later in the year, the Aggies had another crazy battle with South Carolina, where South Carolina was up like, I don't even remember how many points, and A&M came all the way back and won that one. I mean, these games were just so epic. There were so many good ones. I already talked about how amazing Miami's story was this year. It was incredible. I mean, their ability to go from such a high to such a low, back up to such a high was great. Shout out to that coaching staff. How about Diego Pavia and what he put up? And I know he's a controversial figure. I know he said a lot of bad things, and I get that. I don't support all that he said. But he was an absolute legendary college football player that I don't think any of us are going to forget in a really long time. And he made it to New York. He made it to the Heisman ceremony. That was a great story. How about the American Conference this year? It was awesome. You had Tulane. You had North Texas. You had South Florida beating Florida. You had Navy putting up a 10-2 season. Like, that was so much fun to watch. How about Texas Tech dominating the Big 12 and having their best season in program history? How about the coaching carousel this year? How crazy was that? Do you remember there was one Sunday this year where there were like 6 coaches fired at big time programs? Like, that was madness. That was absolutely insane. How about the ACC wild shenanigans that happened in that conference? Like, the 7-5 Duke Blue Devils won the ACC this year. If that is not the most college football thing you've ever heard, then I don't even really know what is. And then the playoffs, man. The playoffs were so much fun this year. I loved the playoffs. I mean, we kicked it off with a fantastic Friday night game between Alabama and Oklahoma, where the Crimson Tide were down 17, came all the way back and won that game. We had a really close, really good football game between Miami and A&M. I enjoyed watching that game. I know it was slow, but I thought it was phenomenal. How about Ole Miss, Georgia? Trinidad Chambliss just lighting the world on fire, playing like Johnny Manziel, just making crazy plays. I love Trinidad Chambliss so much. I'm so excited to watch it next year. It's going to be a lot of fun. Ole Miss, I mean, the fact that that team was able to band together after all the Lane Kiffin drama and make that crazy run was phenomenal. That was really fun. And then the Miami Ole Miss game was awesome too. The amount of lead changes, ties, emotion swings, Trinidad making plays, Carson Beck making plays, Malachi Tony spearing one-handed catches. That game was unreal. And then, of course, to top it all, the Indiana national championship run, the greatest story in college football history, going down in 2025 and 2026. It was so much fun to cover the season this year. I loved doing it so much. I'm going to be back next year doing the very same thing. I would love to. If not, then I really don't know what happened. I'm going to be making off-season stuff as well because I love this sport so much. It was such a great year. And I want to thank each and every one of you for watching this video and also watching all the other videos that I made this year because it really was a joy. There was been a lot of things going on in my life recently, and one of the constant joys that I always have is sitting here and talking about college football. And I just, if you listen to this point, you're an absolute stud, you're an absolute legend. Thank you so much for doing so. And then, of course, if there's anything you take away from this video, it's not that, Indiana is amazing. Charlie Becker is a beautiful man, or that this season was amazing, or that next season maybe could be even better. But it is that Jesus Christ loves you. He really does love you. And if you have completely given up on yourself, if you look at your life and you say, man, I've done so much bad, I've done so much wrong, there's no way that I can be redeemed, there's no way I can be forgiven. If you've completely given up on yourself, just know that no matter what, Jesus will never give up on you. He will always love you. He will always be there for you. And anything that you need, you can always go to Jesus. He's always there for you. And I am no better than anybody watching this video. I am a sinner. I had to go to confession today because I sin. I really do. But Jesus is always there for me. I am his son. He is my father, and he is with me no matter what. So, take a page out of Indiana's book. It doesn't matter what people think about you. It doesn't matter if you're a 3-star recruit or a 5-star recruit or not even recruited. Because no matter what, if you rely on your coaching staff, that is God and the saints and the amazingness of the church, then you will become the best person that you can possibly be. Because that is God's will for you. So with that, again, thank you so much for joining me this college football season. Thanks so much for joining me tonight or today or whatever you're doing right now. And I hope you have a great week, a great month, a great year. And I will either see you in the off season, I'll see you in the 2026-2027 year, or I might never see you again. But again, thanks so much for watching. God bless, and go make somebody smile today. Thanks for watching, folks.